Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's episode of The Rope of Hope. Tonight I am being joined by the lovely Miss Helen King, and she's going to be sharing her journey of survival with breast cancer. Before we get started, if the stories that you have heard shared up on this show have impacted you, have touched your heart, have moved you, then please consider supporting what I do. If you go over to buymeacoffee.com/, this fat girl life, you have multiple options there. You can become a follower, which is free of charge. That's where I put a lot of the juicy details of what's going on behind the scenes. So you're the first in the know. But if you become a member, it's literally $5 a month, cheaper than Starbucks, y'all. So for $5 a month, you not only get all that juicy information, but you have access to the guided journals that I have created free of charge. My gift to you as a thank you for supporting what I do. So please go over buymeacoffee.com/, this fat girl life. Helen, thank you so much for being with me this evening.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Of course. So before we get started, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Helen, and as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not in the US. So, I am in Auckland, New Zealand, and gosh, it's so funny, isn't it, asking who I am, because I feel like there's so many different things we are, but I am a fur mum. I have two dogs who I am hoping don't bark throughout this broadcast, and a cat who is my favorite child.
Now, as moms, we are not supposed to have favorites.
I know. She's 15 this year, so she's just
Oh.
like she's my special child. And I'm also a podcaster. I share my experience of breast cancer, and also talk to other people who have had cancer on my podcast, the C Word Radio. And I think, when I think about who I am, so much of my experience and identity the past few years really has been about the impact cancer has had on my life. Yeah.
So I am actually going to share the name of your podcast for all to see. So you guys can see that on the bottom of your screen right now. So definitely go check out her podcast because
Mm.
it's going to move you. But let's go ahead and jump into what we're talking about tonight, which is that C word, cancer, which
Mm.
is just the word cancer in and of itself is scary. But as a woman, breast cancer is horrifying.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and share your story?
Yeah, sure. So it is a scary word, it really is. And I think that no one really expects cancer to be something that they have to deal with. I mean, in our family, we had dealt with it before with my mum about coming out, I think at least 15 years ago or more. She had uterine cancer, so and thankfully has survived that. And so it had sort of been in our family, but I guess I'm the youngest of three girls, and so you don't sort of think that that's the next person who would get it. And so I was 37 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and
Oh, that
it
is so
was
young.
yeah, it's very young. I think in New Zealand, I'm not sure what overall, but it must be similar in places like the States or the UK and things, is that I think 8% of cancers diagnosed in a year are in that younger bracket. So we are a minority. And breast cancer doesn't run in my family, so there was just no reason to think that that was going to be on my horizon. And my story is, I guess, similar to so many people I've met who have had breast cancer, where I found it quite by accident. I was in the shower and I felt a lump, and was thinking, okay, that's a bit strange. I don't think that was there before. But because I was starting a new job the next day, that just, I was more focused on sort of preparing for that. But yeah, so basically from between finding that lump and I went and saw I guess, an emergency doctor, because I had started this new job. So I thought, I don't want to take time off to go and see a GP. And I was told, in that first appointment, don't worry, you're too young. You're too young for it to be anything sinister. And about a month from that time, I was sitting waiting to have my right breast removed. So that's how quickly it all happened for
Oh
me,
my
from
God.
from finding the lump to getting a ultrasound, to the mammogram, to the biopsy, to it all happened so fast. It just happened at lightning speed. And yeah, and I think I can still remember that moment of the morning that I was going to get my mastectomy, sitting in the hospital. I think if anyone's had surgery, you'll go into that sort of waiting area. You've got the nurse had put my surgical stockings on me, and I had the gown on and things. And the surgeon had come in to draw the arrow on the breast that he was going to remove. So they
Oh,
removed the right one. And just sitting there thinking, oh my God, it's like a Tuesday morning. Everyone out there is, going about their day, and I'm here about to have my right breast removed. So it was a huge event in my life. It was like, people talk about that there's often your life before cancer, and then there's after cancer, because it is such a life altering event. Yeah.
so couple questions. You mentioned that you found the lump originally while you were taking a shower.
Yeah.
Were self breast exams something that you commonly did?
Yeah, from time to time, I would just sort of check, give I guess, a bit of a check to just make sure there was nothing there. Um, I guess it was quite a large lump, and so I felt it. It was sort of on this side of my breast, and
Near the lymph
thinking
node
that,
area.
yeah, yeah, and I actually, once they did all the scans and stuff, I actually had 3 tumors in my breast. And so, yeah, it was very lucky that I had found it, because it was a very fast growing cancer.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. And then you said you went to the ER. Were they just at the ER saying it's fibroid, it's normal, don't worry about it?
Yeah. Yeah, so because I don't have children, and I didn't have children, and the breast looked weird. It was sort of, I think I had a bit of redness, and I felt a little bit tired, but nothing out of the ordinary. And she said, "Oh, it's probably non-lactating mastitis." And that's probably, I don't know, maybe it's an abscess or something, but there was no urgency in terms of, you need to get that checked out. It was more, oh no, we'll give you these antibiotics, and it's probably just mastitis because you're far too young. Yeah.
So what prompted a follow up on that? That you know, if they're saying it's no big deal at the ER, what was it that kind of clicked in your head of no, I need
Mm.
another opinion?
I usually respond really quickly to antibiotics, and the lump nothing changed. So this lump wasn't going down, and actually it didn't hurt. There was, and I think that intuition in me said, look, if this was an infection or an abscess, I'm surely it would be very painful. And so I went back to the ER, and it was a long holiday weekend here in New Zealand, and the doctor said, look, there's not much you can do at the moment. Like, I'm not going to send you to the main hospital because it will just be, busy with other people. He said, you should probably just go and get that checked. And so at that point I went, right. I rang up and booked in an ultrasound. And so it was just that intuition of knowing my body and knowing that, by now I should have no sign of an infection. Yeah.
So now, I mean, I've been through the process personally of finding a lump.
Yeah.
Thank God, for me it was not cancer,
Mm.
but I've had to go through that ultrasound and mammogram, which as women, that's just such a pleasant experience anyway. I mean, let's just put that out there. If you have not had a mammogram,
Yeah.
you can't relate to what it feels like. But they basically take your breast and squish it like a pancake.
Yeah.
Did they do those both in the same day for you?
No, so it was quite interesting. So I got the ultrasound on a Friday, and I knew in that um, moment that it wasn't just a cyst or anything, because um, she found these. They just looked like dark shadows, and just by her manner, I just knew. And I don't know whether she meant to kind of, but it was that rush of, it was the end of the day on Friday, but she was on the phone to the senior radiographer saying, what should we do next? And they were saying, by the looks of this, she needs a mammogram. So on that Monday, I had a mammogram, and I kind of knew then as well, because they showed me on the screen, because they do both breasts to compare, and it looked like something was kind of exploding out of my milk duct. So, and then I got the call from my family doctor, and it basically said, Dr. Borthwick wants you to come in, and you need to bring a support person. And so you kind of know at that point.
So we're gonna call you. We're gonna, let you know there's something you need support for, but now you're gonna wait.
Yeah.
So how long was it before you got that call? From the time you got that call, and they said bring a support person with you,
Yeah.
that they actually said the words "you have cancer."
So I think I had to wait. So maybe I'd had the mammogram late morning, and I went to see the doctor around 5 p.m. So it was quite a few hours. And so my GP, my parents took me, and she said, look, it is looking very likely that you have breast cancer. But we need to send you to get, the confirmation and the biopsy. And so they don't like to confirm anything until they have that, histology. And so even as I was getting my biopsies, they would not confirm anything, but I think they probably knew that it was cancer. So it wasn't until, we had that biopsy back that they could say, yes, you definitely have breast cancer.
And
Yeah.
do you know about how long that took?
It was very quick for me. So that was all in 1 week. And I need to preface this by saying this is not usual. New Zealand, we have both a public health system, and you can have health insurance. I had health insurance because of a job that I'd had. I'd got a good health insurance policy. And so I was very lucky that I was able to use that and get access to scans and biopsies and a breast surgeon very quickly. Yeah.
So they confirm it's cancer,
Yeah.
and you go through all that. How long before they did the mastectomy?
I think it was about 10 days. Yeah.
So for those 10 days, what did you have going through your head?
It's crazy. it's really, I think you're in shock for such a long time. You've been diagnosed with cancer, but there were, I guess there were lots of things like, I had to go and see a plastic surgeon to talk about, those options and things. And for anyone who's gone to see a plastic surgeon, it's a really odd experience because it's even like they give you this book of pictures to show you of reconstructed breasts. And it's just like this weird experience of thinking it's like you're choosing. So I didn't have reconstruction, but in these 10 days, it was having appointments like that, having blood tests, having, more scans and things. And it's just your whole life all of a sudden becomes about, just testing and preparing. And I'm quite a logical person. And so I thought I'm going to look at pictures of women who have lost their breasts so I can get it in my head of what it might look like. So there was a lot of sort of that going on as well. So it's a really surreal time. Yeah.
So how was the recovery after?
Mastectomies are surprisingly quick I know, which sounds strange because, you've just had a breast removed. I think the harder part was I had a number of my lymph nodes removed as well. And so, you do have drains, and I found that particularly difficult. But really it is quite a simple surgery to kind of recover from. It wasn't, that part wasn't a major recovery. Yeah.
Okay, and you said that you chose not to have reconstruction afterwards.
Yeah, it wasn't so much. This makes me laugh. This is where the fat phobia comes in. So I am a larger woman, and because because I had large breasts, they said that the reconstruction that was suggested for me would be basically they can do one. There's a DEP flap and there's another. Basically, it's taking like muscle and things from your stomach or your back, and they reconstruct your breast. And they would have had to have reduced the. So it would have been a very big procedure, but
Oh, geez.
because of my weight, it would have been too high risk. And so I kind of jokingly say I was too fat to be offered to have reconstruction.
I can't even imagine. So now I know here, after you have that, you're going in like every 6 months for a while to retest, and then it goes to every, you have that annual test.
Yeah.
How does it work over there after cancer or after surgery?
Yeah, it's very similar. So, so I have surgery, and then I go through the treatment process of chemo and radiation and that sort of stuff. And at first, and because I had a treatment called Herceptin because of the type of breast cancer I had, all up, my treatment was about 18 months. And so, up until that point, with my oncologist, I was seeing him every 3 to 6 months to check on that progress with the Herceptin and other treatments. And then with my surgeon, it was every 6, and now I'm on a yearly check. So I have a mammogram every year. Yeah.
And no issues with the left breast?
No, none at all. It's been fine. It's quite interesting because people often say to me, well, did the treatment work? Is it, how do you know? And the thing is that you can't. You don't know. You sort of have to blindly trust that you've been treated in the best way that you can, and they've given it the best shot. And now you just, as they say, go and get on with your life and hope that it's not going to come back, or you're not going to get a reoccurrence in your other breast. So it is a very strange way to live. Yeah.
So at this point, how long have you been cancer free?
Um, I'm coming up to 3 years post diagnosis. Yeah.
So are Are you gonna have like a big booby blowout? Big birthday
Act-
party?
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm over 3 years. This will be my fourth.
Okay.
Do you know? I don't. I don't do big celebrations and things. Some people do, and I think part of it is that the life after cancer has been so hugely challenging. It's quite difficult to kind of I guess factor in celebration, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's a
And that makes sense.
yeah.
But if you do it, I think you need to call it a booby blowout. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna do this, let's go big or go home.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So through the entire process, what was the scariest moment, if I can ask?
Um, I think it's you have several of them in a way. And I think that one of them really was that moment, the weekend before having the mammogram. And, there's all these moments where first you don't know what type of, uh, what stage of cancer you are. So that's very scary. And you go into, am I planning my funeral or am I planning on on beating that? Yeah, so when you don't know that, that's very scary. I think that moment I described before of waiting for my mastectomy was and being wheeled into the not wheeled, I walked into the operating theatre. Like there's these moments where it hits you of what you're dealing with. And um I've said to people before that for a very long time, I would wake up and be like, and think, oh my God, I've had cancer. Like it was just like so shocking. So I think that it's not one moment, it's a series of moments where the gravity of what you've been through hits you, and it can be, yeah, quite a scary thing. Like you've had your life has been threatened in a way, you've questioned your mortality. It's a yeah, it's a really huge thing in your life that you're continually going, oh my God, that happened. Yeah. Oh, I think you're frozen. Are you still there?
Okay, Helen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, so we lost signal for a moment.
Oh
So
no.
I didn't hear the last of what you were saying there.
Oh no. So I was just saying that it really is a series of moments that are scary. I think that there are moments where it is just yeah, that the gravity of what you're dealing with really hits you. Yeah.
Now, this may seem like a really strange question.
Mm.
Um, I know when you have a limb amputated, they refer to it as like phantom pain, where
Yeah.
it's almost like you forget that it's been removed or whatever. Do you have
Yeah.
that with your breast, or did you at the beginning?
No, not really, because I had they cut a nerve when they do the surgery, and so I don't have any feeling there. Um, Actually, the thing that, and I think other people who have large breasts may be able to relate to this. It's not so much that you're aware, you think that like having a phantom breast as such, but what is great is that there's one side that when I lie on it, I no longer have to rearrange a breast, so it's much easier.
You know what? First world fat woman problems.
Yeah.
That is a so for anybody who is not large breasted, regardless of size, if you are not large breasted, you probably cannot relate to that issue. But that is a very real issue.
Yeah.
Well, Helen, I want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your
Mm.
experience and your journey with us. I have to say, I absolutely love your infectious attitude, laughter. I love all of it. Love. And I'm that you were willing to share your story. I do have one final question for you. I ask this of everybody who comes on my show.
Yeah.
What has been the most inspirational thing somebody has said to you?
Oh my goodness.
See, I put people on the spot.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think it's never give up. Never give up and never give up hope. Yeah.
Love that. I absolutely love that. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys, I will be back next week with another amazing story of survival. I hope you are all blessed. Stay healthy, stay safe, and know that you are loved. Till next week, guys.
Thank you.